Welcome to the Tom Castro Shooting Academy podcast. You have now entered the next level. What's going on? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Next Level podcast. I have a special guest on tonight, and I actually have a second guest coming on, but what a surprise. She's late, so she'll come on a little bit later while we're in the middle of the podcast. I'm sure she'll pop in here. But my friend Christina, our friend Christina Baker is always punctual and on time. So my buddy Sam Caldwell is the gentleman that I brought on. We just shot Area 8, so I figured we'd get down and dirty a little bit about the match and talk a little bit of training. So how's it going, brother?
It's going good. Actually pretty busy with trying to find my groove with the production gun again after Carry Optics Nationals. So
yeah, it's crazy. One of the things that one of the biggest things that kind of shined through was that you lost some of your aggressiveness because of the iron sights.
Yeah, and well, obviously we shot together. We talked about it. So that's what I did today. Was I'm a master member, if you didn't know, and Tom actually broke down my Area 8 video for me. So, which is a great service, well worth the money, because you're getting the coaching without having to spend $1,500 to go out and take a class or travel to a different match just to meet Tom. So you get interaction, and then you run into Tom, and you can, relive those stories of his coaching. But today it was awesome. I put in an actual practice today, which was really crazy for me since the new job happened. So I got about 200 rounds in, and all I worked on was literal grip and entries. So trying to maintain a level. That was one of my critiques, was I change levels a lot, and I don't grip the gun evenly, but it's like sporadic grip, bad grip, good grip. So that's what I just worked on today.
So one of the biggest problems I see, somebody turn the light out behind you. Go ahead. So while he's gone, he had obviously he has family at the house, and somebody turned the light out, so they don't know he's down there. But one of the biggest problems that Sam had at Area 8 was that his entries he's super aggressive. Like, he's really good at attacking. I never have to yell at him to go faster. I have to yell at him to control his speed or his aggression. So I was catching a lot of the things in the video, and he sent me all of his videos, obviously, because, well, for anybody who doesn't know what the master membership is it's my online course. And I have a monthly membership where I have a standard insider circle, which is your lower tier level. And then I have a master membership where basically what you do is you send in 6 to 8 videos a month. I go through all 8 of those or 6 of those videos. I find habits and inconsistencies, or let me rephrase that, something that's consistently a problem. And then I give you homework to fix that. So I don't just look at the video and go, hey man, you suck here, you suck here, you suck here. I try to find something that's actually valuable to where you can actually work on it and fix something. So for Sam, he had multiple things. Well, there's some things where you can double up on, and obviously fundamentals is something that I'm big on, which most people don't think that, because I talk so much about movement and aggression and all these things, but fundamentals is everything. So the fundamentals of a grip is something that while you're working on footwork should still be there. You shouldn't let those things go. When you're transitioning your gun, when you're moving your gun, when you're trying to shoot, all those things should be focused on the fundamentals. And then the shooting kind of takes care of itself if your fundamentals are strong. So one of the things I always catch is when you slack off on your fundamentals. So Sam would shoot, 8 out of 10 rounds, and one round would get away from him, and you could tell the gun would just kind of fly up. And it was almost on every one of them that I caught throughout his videos was on a transition, and it wasn't consistent. So it's one of those things where you don't know why you did it or how he did it. And then all of a sudden when I'm watching video, I slow motion it and I go, got it. Look, this is why you had to take a makeup shot on this. And one of the things that most people don't realize is this is why it's so important to have good fundamentals with iron sights, especially because most of the iron sight divisions are limited rounds production. Even limited is 20 rounds instead of 24. And yes, that 4 extra rounds does make a difference. But when you lose your fundamentals during production and you're going into an array of 10 or even 8 or 9 or whatever it is, and you have a makeup shot, well, now you just limited yourself to any kind of, now you've set yourself up for failure throughout the rest of the stage where you're doing basically slide lock on every single reload because you lost your fundamentals on a simple trigger pull, right? And that was something that I caught in his training. That's what he was discussing, that he kind of didn't preface that before we just jumped right into it because we're friends.
Well, sorry.
No, you're fine.
But you know me, I'm not afraid to go to slide lock.
Yeah, that's for sure. So
I probably take a lot more risks than any other production shooter will, just because I want to see if it works. It's like if it works, it's glory. If not, well, we'll figure it out later.
So we're working on that. I don't like that. I want you to change some of that because that's something that it's not working out, right? It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Trying to do that stuff at practice is awesome, but during a major match or something, it just isn't worth it. So before we go on any further, I want to get into a little bit because I'm excited to have you on. I haven't had you on in a little while. And you've made huge, massive gains. You've come to a class down in Florida. Obviously, we're really good friends, but I'm excited to have you on because I want to talk a little bit about your classification and like where you are as a shooter and where you started. Because when I first met you, it was production for life, right? Production. I was the same way, guys. So like, I always give Sam a hard time. Like I have all kinds of videos of Sam with me in the background going, grip your gun, dummy. And all these crazy things like, so what, all right, hold on. Before I continue on, what do you have? He literally has a folder of me. We're really close friends. And he has a folder of me in the background of me always talking to him in the videos and he saved it. What do you call that folder?
It's called Mean Coach.
It's so funny. Like, I mean, there's one of them's me being PC and I'm not cussing and I'm going, hey, dummy, grip your doggone gun. Like I'm trying super hard.
It's grip your freaking slide. Grip your freaking gun.
It's pretty bad that he has enough of them that he has a whole folder, a Google Drive folder of just me giving him shit about how to shoot better after he shoots. It's pretty awesome. But so I've been able to see your progression for actually quite a long time now. For almost 4 years we've been friends. Well, hell, almost 5 years. So we did the JJ Racaza class together. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time together. And then you moved. So now you went to North Carolina. So how has your progression gotten since the day we started? And then I'd really interested in how it went this year since we trained this year. Like how much of a breakthrough do you feel like you had after the class that you took with me down in Florida?
Honestly, after taking the class, like it was drastic changes, meaning that like I thought about like even now, like I'm thinking before I have to step into a box or like anything like that, get the gun up. It doesn't do you any good if you're inbounds and you don't have your gun up, right? So like that, and especially from this like area 8, even in your class too. I was watching some of the videos from when we were doing the stage run when I was shooting carry optics. You kept saying you're not making the reload a priority, and then this past weekend you kept reiterating that, meaning that like when I shoot and when I know I fire my last round, I'm not breaking my grip to get to my magazine fast enough. It's not the priority, right? And you kept saying you got to have bullets in your gun. You got to have bullets in your gun to shoot targets. And so that's a lot of what I practiced on today. I just got my review last night, so like it was good to actually get out and live fire some of that stuff. But the biggest addition since the class for me is a dry fire play. Like I moved some stuff around. I currently live with my mom and dad. We're building a house, but like I I didn't have a dedicated space for myself to dry fire. And then like, so now I have that. So that's been the biggest change. And it's definitely helped in a lot of matches. Because I get to go out, practice what I've been dry firing from my last match through my videos and what you have taught us and me specifically, and then go out and try to take them into those matches. Because one thing that I have learned from you is like every match is just a small breakdown of arrays that you're going to see again somewhere. Meaning that like it doesn't matter the array presentation, the entry, the way you shoot it, and everything else is pretty much the same thing. The biggest thing that I've learned this year after taking the class and then like shooting Area 6 and Area 8 is leaving on steel is a gamble, right? And so like that's kind of changed how I attack arrays and do stuff. And then minimizing transitions. I know basically all of the system. Just trying to get my body and hands to work together with my feet to accomplish that is the hard part for me.
All right.
Because I want to be aggressive.
I mean, that comes with time though. So like what I try to explain to people, and it's very, very difficult. And I think this is probably the hidden gem in most grandmasters, is that we are willing to suck for a long time. Like we're willing to give up months of our abilities to get to that next level. The problem is most people, when they start to run matches or go to these matches and they start to go to these locals and they go to these big matches, and I hear, oh man, I sucked. And I'm like, did you suck? Or did you actually push on something you've never done before? Like most people aren't willing to give up those local matches, those local wins to get better in the long run. I run into this in my class schedule all the time. I have people all the time go, oh man, but this match is going on during that. And do you want to win next year's match, or do you want to place in 15th again this year? And again, I hate it when I say that because it feels like I'm a salesman, and you know me, I'm like anti-salesman about what I do. And I'm just like, dude, like I know where they're at. I used to do the same thing. I used to sacrifice all kinds of training to go to the local matches or training or this, and I would be like, oh man, I got to go to that. I got to go to that match. I got to go to that match. That's a local match here in Florida. I got to go to that level 2. And I was like, but I wasn't getting any better. So then I realized like, well, maybe if I skip that level 2 and I actually spent some time practicing, maybe I would win level 2 matches. And it started happening. And then the local matches stopped becoming practice and they started becoming, I was winning those matches while I was practicing because everything just started to fall in place. But I had to get my ass kicked for a while. Right. Like I had to get my ass kicked. I was going to these matches and I was just like, man, why am I losing to this guy? Like, I think I'm better than him. And then I was like, oh, because I'm not sacrificing anything during these local matches to get better. I just want to win all the time. So once I realized that perfection is something that you're always striving for, but isn't really the goal, and the process is, that's when all my shooting changed. It's just, and that's where like most people struggle with. They want to win every single, and so do I. I want to win every single time. But the crazy part is the better you get and the more you practice, you'll start winning when you suck because nobody else is getting better, right? No one else is getting better, but you are while you're practicing. So it just totally changes the way your mindset changes as you start to realize like, oh my God, I'm practicing and I'm winning. Like, this is really weird. Like, this doesn't make sense. I'm not even like shooting a good stage plan here because I'm doing stupid shit just to get better at stuff. And it ends up just happening. It's kind of a crazy thing. It's a crazy feeling.
One of the main things I'm glad I worked out for Area 8, right, was how many of those stages, well, obviously not for you because you shot PCC, but how many of those stages had right to left reloads, right? A lot, out of the 13, well, 12 technically, but I would say there was, man, 8 or 9.
To have a good stage, to have the best stage plans too. Like, honestly, like if I was shooting production or carry optics, I probably still would have reloaded right to left on a lot of those stages.
Yeah.
So there was
And
quite a
like,
few spots there where that was the best place to take a reload for sure.
yeah. And I don't know.
And you
It's
had a lot
funny
of them.
how, yeah. Yeah.
You had
I
a
think,
lot of them for sure.
yeah, 4 reloads on the stage is not fun.
No.
So, you know,
Well, think about a single
especially,
stack guy. It's even worse.
well, I mean, you're starting unloaded, so
Yeah.
that really sucks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, dude. I didn't feel sorry for you at all because I was like, you literally made that choice. So boohoo, nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about it.
but you never heard, I never complained about it.
No.
I
It
think,
was fun. It was good.
yeah, I think the challenge of production, especially in a match like that, like it wasn't the match itself, the stages were not technical, but adding the challenge to fit your mag capacity into a stage plan and make it competitive, that's what I enjoy, right? Because most carry optics shooters, if they're middle of the road B class to GM, are probably going to run the same stage plans. And it just, I don't know. I think it gets boring after a while, but it's just aggression versus, control is what we, and I don't know. I think like, I don't know, production kind of fits me because it's like, I think a lot. And I think a lot while I'm shooting, even carry optics. And I don't know. I think about sometimes where my foot lands is like, oh, that's not where I'm supposed to land. And like, I think about, okay, I can literally count the rounds as they leave, but I feel like I'm going slow but I want to be more aggressive. And that leads to terrible footwork and terrible entries and overrunning, not thinking about reloads and running past, positions and not crashing at the appropriate time or whatever. So
So I think
it's
that
just
comes from that comes from well, first of all, that's the right mindset. We've talked about this before. I talk about this in my class. I do not believe that shooting is subconscious. I believe stage planning is subconscious. Your stage planning stuff and all that because it's very much so subconscious. But when it comes to actual shooting, I think about everything while I'm on. I think about where I crash, where I land, where I enter, how soft I'm entering, all of these different things. And then I'm a little probably different than most grandmasters or most people who coach. I talk about this sport a little bit differently. In my experience, most people, pretty much everybody that's ever came to me, including D-class shooters, can stand and shoot 2 alphas. So what separates them from everyone else? It's the movement, it's the entries, it's the exits, it's what happens when they start moving. I have never once in my class ever not had a student, whether that's the first time they've ever shot USPSA or they're a freaking grandmaster, not learned how to shoot and move on 5 steel, like at 10 yards, 12 yards, like straight across. Like I have never once failed in that drill to get someone to do it. Now, some take longer to do it just because they're inexperienced, but it's absolutely movement is fundamental to me. So it's one of those things where I understand when you first start doing what you're doing right now. So you're still pretty fresh in the system that I taught. That was your first class was this year in, I don't know, was it 3 or 4 months ago? It wasn't that long ago, right?
It was April.
Okay. So it wasn't that long ago. So again, dude, I've been doing this for 5 years and still constantly find new things to work on movement wise and teach it. And I mean, I just did a video the other day, but I created the system that I shoot and I still suck at it sometimes. I mean, I literally had a video the other day where I'm just like, I posted it on Instagram where I was coming in with the PCC and I'm like, look at my shitty levels. And I'm like, I know not to do that. And I still do it. So what is it for someone who's just learning it? You're going to make those mistakes. You're going to have those issues. But one of the things and the reasons why what you think is hurting you in the long run is actually a positive. It's just, you're not understanding when to slow it down. Is your aggression is never something you're going to want to get rid of. It's, you have to learn where to be less aggressive, or let me rephrase that, because I don't ever want you to do that. I want you to control it more. Right. So it's where do I control it? So you can go 100 miles an hour between those gaps that you aren't doing a damn thing but running. That's what you need to do. But where is it exactly? Do I need to land and then just chill as I enter. That's the key, is finding that crash point. And I think that that's something that you're missing right now in most of your stage planning, especially this match, because you were so freaking focused on gun. You had to get reload in, but then you didn't focus on reload. So then you jammed reload and, oh, I got to stop together. And that will create, oops, I forgot this spot or whatever it is. So, and this match had a lot of, you could, they did not have anywhere you had a standing reload, which was nice. You could stage plan around a standing reload. There was a couple spots where I was like, you could have a standing reload here if you don't stage plan this properly, right? You had to go to a couple times, you had to go to 10, and then you give yourself more time. But those were struggles for you just because you were in such a rush to get there. Right. And that's fine. That's not a bad thing in my opinion. It's this like, all right, it's time to start to learn how to control. That's why that breakdown video I gave you was like, hey brother, your footwork sucks. It's not your aggression. Like, you're literally running in here awesome, like, which is great, but you're not focusing on the, okay, it's time to shoot part. And then when it's time to shoot, you were still going a million miles an hour. Oh, well, let me rephrase that, because brother, and I didn't get a chance to tell you this at the match, and I forgot to mention it on the video. This match was 1,000,000% improvement from Carry Optics Nationals when it comes to your movement. Carry Optics Nationals, dude, I cannot believe you didn't run into every freaking wall on this. You were going a million miles an hour into those positions, right? Yeah. This match was so much better.
Difference, though. Yeah. There's a huge difference in that, and I think we've talked about how dropping like 57 pounds will improve your movement a little bit. You don't have to slow down a wrecking ball.
So getting 57 pounds going isn't as bad as an extra 57 as it is to stop it.
No. I mean, I have big, strong legs. I can get that wrecking ball moving pretty quick. But it's kind of hard to stop it.
Dude, and I'll never forget. There's quite a few times where I'm like, this dude's standing on his tippy toes. Like, he's literally broke himself into his tippy toe spot. And I was like, oh, Lord. And you had one of those at this match. And it was kind of funny because it wasn't that far away, but you're like, I'm going to get over there as fast and hard as I can. It was like, it's time to shoot. So yeah, man, I'm glad you sent those, because I was, there was so much improvement in there. The problem is sometimes when I do these breakdown videos, I'm not in there to tell you how great you are. Right. Like, so no, I know not you personally, but there's sometimes I do these videos and I'm going, I don't think I said anything awesome that they did. I try to, because a lot of these guys, like I have a student in there, Tim, and he's been with me for, I think 5 or 6 months or whatever it is. I just mentioned to him in his last video, I said, bro, your videos are getting harder and harder to coach. Like, they're harder and harder. I haven't posted in the Insider Circle yet, but I'm like, they're getting harder and harder to find things. And that's what I want. Like, that's literally my job. Like, my job is to basically work myself out of a job, I guess. Like, it's like, if the better I do telling you what to do, and the better you do, is the less time you're going to spend with me, which in the long run doesn't make much sense as a business owner, but that just means I'm doing my job, I guess. So I was wait, maybe I shouldn't do so good.
But once you find new things, I mean, look at how you were talking with we essentially had the Area 8 Super Squad. Let's be honest, right?
We did. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So just even the way you were like giving tips to Vlager and Edens and, even Browning at points, like, I mean, those guys were coming to you because you're a coach, and you're subconsciously watching them, because I know you're subconsciously watching me, because we always shoot after me. So there's time, even they were asking, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, let me run this by you. And then you would come back with, hey, I saw you do this on that stage. What do you think about that? Blah, blah, blah. This is how I typically do that kind of scenario. Or you guys are bouncing stage plans off each other. And honestly, like, it was probably one of the better squads I've ever been on at a major, because most times, for whatever reason, most majors that I have shot with you have always been like staff paced or staff resetted, and that it kills it. I think it honestly kills a little bit of the energy between the camaraderie of resetting the stages, and then you get like, I don't know. It's probably one of the better majors I've shot so far.
I agree. We had a great squad. Actually, I want to tell this story real quick since you brought him up. So John Vlager is, I really got to spend a lot of time with him at Area 5 and get to know him. And that guy's pretty awesome. I really like that guy. So we're having a conversation and he comes up and he goes, Tom, and it was like one of our last stages. And I think he was up like quite a few points at the time. And he goes, so what do you think about this? Like, I just kind of want to make sure I'm not crazy. So he starts telling me his plan and I go, well, I'm going to do this. And he goes, I hate that. And I go, cool, man, do whatever you want. You know what I mean? So it's like, but the way John talks is a lot like the way I talk, right? Like he just kind of just puts it out there, bro. And then I'm just like, I'm not offended. Cool. Go get it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole point, the fact that he asked me was pretty awesome. Like I that was pretty cool. Like, cause he didn't have to ask me. He didn't have to think that I'm a good shooter or respect what I do or any of that stuff. So it was pretty awesome to kind of shoot with him. This is the second match I've got a chance to shoot with him. And I wasn't a direct competitor this time like it was last time. And I really enjoy that guy. He's made a lot of changes in himself to kind of clean his image up in this sport. I think the guy gets a bad rap, unfortunately, for some of his personality, but that's just him, bro. I listen, as somebody who gets attacked for my personality, I'll pretty much accept everybody, dude. And that guy's a pretty cool dude. So the fact that he just his face, like afterwards, when he looked at me, he goes, that's terrible. Like, I hate that. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, I was like, cool. But I was also shooting a rifle versus they're shooting a pistol. Yeah. And on that specific stage, I had this, like, if I did what they did, I had this weird, like, I took a chance to shoot a wall with the rifle. So I just opened myself up a little bit more to where I didn't have to worry about hitting the wall. Unfortunately, when you're shooting a rifle, sometimes you can't really see as well with the pistol. Like I can't see the walls. Like I'm seeing a barrel and everything's like directly in my face. So I'm obviously I'm target focused, but I can't really see like if I edge hit a wall or something, it's harder to tell when you have the rifle. So it's just one of those things where you're not getting a beautiful sight picture like you are with the pistol.
It's just the height over bore between pistol and rifle that the difference is, right?
Well, so again, I mean, these targets weren't close, so it wasn't like I was worried about a no shoot or anything. It just happened to be like, if I stood where they were going to shoot it, I would have to do a hard lean or make it a harder lean because it was a rifle and it was in my right shoulder and I had to lean left versus if I go forward and I move in on some targets, boom, boom, there it is. It's wide open. Both sides of the target are exposed because I walked myself into that position. And then I had to shift to the right and shoot it. So I don't know how close my time was. I will say that like from when I was watching these guys shoot, because we had pretty much every open guy on our squad that the Grandmaster wise, super squad guys, they don't care sometimes about Charlies.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I was watching some of them shoot and I'm like, goodness gracious, like, holy shit, they didn't give a crap about that Charlie. They just literally blew through that target like nothing. And I think you tend to pick and choose those. Like nobody ever says, hey, I'm just going to shoot a Charlie. But if they get one and they save a full second, again, you're down only a point versus, down 3 points or 2 points. Like I'd be on every single shot. So it definitely makes a difference what you shoot.
You've also mentioned that, I think on previous podcasts before, but I know you and I have talked about it before about if it's a like difficult lean that you have just a head box. I mean, there's no, obviously depending on how the distance and stuff, but like sometimes it's worth it just to shoot two and hit paper and leave because you're saving a lot more time. So like it's pretty, this whole sport is like really interesting, and I don't know. One of the things I did do this match that you kept getting on to me about it was watching the scores, but I did learn a lot from it. Right. So like, I wasn't chasing after the guy that I had pull it up on practice score. I was kind of comparing myself to him. He's obviously the top of B class right now. So I kind of just wanted to see where I was at time wise, my hit wise. And then I did learn a little bit about like, scoring and like what that my score did for points and how it pulled points away. And then what I didn't expect was two Marine guys to come through and just demolish both of us. So, but it was good.
I would say,
I learned
I would
a lot.
say, I would say the problem with you looking at scores isn't that you shouldn't look at scores. The problem is you brought it up a lot. So it was definitely in the forefront of a lot of your mindset or your conversation.
Right.
So, and I'll say, and I'll say this about one of the guys on the super squad, one of the open guys. I watched his mindset change when he was winning. And he went from crushing the match, crushing everybody on our squad, to backing off and playing it safe. And he lost by a very small margin, less than a target. Right, so I was just like, dude, I didn't say anything to him, right? He knows what he did, but I was just like, and I almost said something, but I don't coach unless somebody asked me a question. Like Sam said something about guys were coming up and asking me, like, I didn't just walk up and go, hey man, do this stage plan. We would all just be having a conversation. Like, I don't coach people unless they ask me anymore at this point. It's just not worth it because, not everybody wants to hear it. So, and I don't need to coach those. Those guys are good. They know what they're doing. So they, I watched him in one of our stage plan conversations. He goes, what do you think about this? And I go, this is what I'm going to do. I think it's a wash either way, but this way here is like the cleanest way to run this without having to take a headshot, over a no shoot if you don't need the risk. And it was like, he's like, okay, well, and then my plan, he literally said, well, I need to be a little more conservative here. And I was like, you do? Like, I don't know if that's the right answer, but it wasn't my it wasn't my score, right? Like, it wasn't my match that was his job to do what he was doing. I don't know what his scores were or anything. That was him. That's what he thought. So, but it cost him the match in the end of the day because I feel like he took his foot off the gas instead of just straight up shooting it. Right. Does that make sense? He didn't slow down. He didn't try to be safe. He just didn't shoot like he was. Like, he wasn't trying to, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it because it's like, for me, I learned a lot in this match because of that same concept. So I was winning this match by, I think we had 4 or 5 stages left. And from what I could see on my scores high available, I was going to win by 100 points.
Right.
And I didn't take my foot off the gas, but I didn't put my foot on the gas either. I just stayed where I was.
You shot your stuff. You shot your game, right? And that's what I was trying to get at is like, I was comparing what they did versus what I did. I didn't try to change anything. I kept telling myself, shoot your game, shoot what you can do, and let's see what you can do versus what they can do, and not try to go faster or shoot more points or any of that stuff. Just shoot what I can shoot my sights, and go from there. And that's what I was trying to balance.
Let me ask you, with that mindset, why'd you even look at the score then? Because if you weren't going to, wait. But if you weren't going to change the way you were going to shoot, no matter what the score said, then why did you look at it?
Because I had dinner with that guy and I wanted to beat him.
And that's fine. And listen, so why not? So if you knew that and you had dinner with him and all this other stuff, why is it that if you didn't pay attention to the score to where you would have to make changes or whatever in your shooting, why even look at it? It's just an added pressure on you to now do something that you weren't going to change anyway, you said. That's what I mean. Like, okay, so I'll tell you how I do the scores. I look at these scores after every single run now. I didn't used to do that. I couldn't handle it. I would change the way I shot like oh my God, it was terrible, dude. If I was like, oh, I didn't win that stage overall, or, oh man, I got 10th. Oh, I got to pick it up. And it would just destroy my matches. So this is the first match that I have walked away from where I was like, all right, I figured it out. Like, I mentally have it figured out. Like, I literally shot so calm throughout the entire match. Like, just so calm. Even when I had a mistake, I'll just say it, but it's, it is what it is. I had a very large jam on a stage. Like I had a 40 or 50 point lead after 3 stages. And I had a 16+ second jam on a stage. It was the weirdest jam I've ever had. I don't know if it had to be a magazine issue because the bullet was in the chamber and another bullet got above the bullet that was in the chamber. So it was like partially fed in, like 3/4 of the bullet was in, and it gave just enough room where a bullet got over the top of it. I don't know whether it was just the way I tilted the gun when I went to clear it. It had a weird feeling when I first put the first round in. So I should probably, but I went 4 rounds and went to shoot number 5 and it jammed. So that point right there, I was down 20 or 30 points when I finished that stage. Not one time did I go to the next stage and go, oh man, I'm down 30 points. I said, I am going to fucking crush this next stage. I was so mad that I blew my lead over something that I can't control, right? My gun was clean. I mean, listen, that gun just runs. So when something happens, I'm like, what in the F is going on, right? Magazines are good. I have MBX metal mags, like the Glock mag. I love, dude, my equipment is usually 99.9%, but it's PCC. Welcome to shooting a rifle. It's just how it works on our sport. So I go to the next stage. I win the next stage high overall. I go to the next stage. I don't win high overall, but I shoot it aggressive. I just shoot what I'm supposed to do. I go to the next stage and I get second by 1 point because I stayed aggressive. I go to the next stage and I win it high overall. I go to the next stage. I win it high overall. I go to the next stage and I get like, I don't know, second, third, fourth, or fifth or something. And not one time did I look at the score and go, oh man, I suck or I need to change. I just stayed on that pace. I stayed on that path. Just focus, sights, trigger, sights, trigger, sights, trigger, focused on my stage planning, my footwork. It was the first time I've ever shot where I was like, man, I don't feel like I have to put the foot on the gas, even though I'm winning. Normally I would try to double down on the lead because that's just the way I am. I'm a maniac about that stuff.
All the points. Yeah.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I did go to practice score and I took that jam away. And the only reason I care is because I really wanted this match high overall. I wanted to beat the super squad guys that were shooting open. And if I don't change any score and I just take the jam away, I would have placed 2nd overall instead of 6th overall in the match. And that actually pissed me off. I was pretty mad then about that jam. I would have lost by, I think 6 or 7 points. But 6 or 7 points would have, I would have been second because of that. I would have needed another target or an alpha, but I ended up having a mic that I disagreed with, but it was what it was. So, I can only go so much argument on that stuff.
Didn't Kim June win overall, high overall?
Yeah.
Kim June.
So, yeah,
I would like to see. I've never seen this guy shoot. I would actually like to see some of his videos. So
he's pretty fast.
June, post your videos. Come on, man. Yeah. I know you got an Instagram.
Yeah, he's pretty fast. So one of the I know at Dragons Cup he shot, and him and Aaron were going at it pretty good for Dragons Cup. So it was a close battle for those two guys, and I think Aaron pulled it out. But I gotta say, man, this is nothing against Kim or June or anybody, but our squad was terrible. You guys, they all shot like shit. Like I think Vlager was the only one who really shot good at the entire match. Like, and this is not to take away from June at all. Man. Like, man, I was looking at these guys. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you guys today?
Yeah, like I know there was a couple of them that had like a 50-50 run. I'm like, what? That is terrible.
FTSAs, like what? Right. Like what the shit?
You did good. 50%, but you're 2 seconds faster than everybody. I
looked at Tilly, Chris Tilly, and Aaron. He was on our squad. I looked at Chris Tilly and I said, and I don't know, I think he had a mic or something. I don't know what. Well, he was falling off it was the beam stage. He was falling off. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was that. And I go, man, you suck. And I was like, you suck. Like, I thought you were good at this. And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah. He goes, man, that hurts. And I looked at Aaron and I go, man, he's like, I said, dude, Aaron just beat your ass on this. And Aaron, he goes, I suck. He's kicking my ass. Dude, it was one of the best moments because those guys are really good friends. It was hilarious because like, it was just, I mean, you know how I am, dude. We just always have fun. I never take this shit that serious.
Me personally, one of the best moments was when when John left the steel. Was it John or Chris? He
Oh,
left.
John.
He
Yeah,
missed.
John.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, you missed the steal." He goes, "That's unfortunate."
So I talked to I think John's trying to prevail some of he's trying not to get
Oh
mad at
yeah.
himself and things. So it's pretty funny. I'm like, dude,
I was like,
that was pretty impressive.
unfortunate. I would be upset.
I'm sure he was very upset inside,
Yeah.
So we talked about
Yeah.
that a little bit also. He's like, dude, he goes, I was so frustrated. Not that he because I talked to him and he's like, man, he goes, I didn't lose this match on my last stage or my last two stages. He goes, I lost it throughout the match. He goes, there was all kinds of little things that I did. And I was like, that's the attitude to carry. It really is. It's the mindset of, oh man, this stage cost me. Man, you had 13 stages to do better. Right. One alpha, little things. It's usually the little things that beat you up throughout a match. I mean, everybody thinks the mic beats you, but it's usually not. There's way more to it. You ask any of the best shooters in the world, and they'll all tell you that it's accumulation of lost points. It's never one stage. I mean, sometimes it is, like if you have a mic on a 60-point stage and you just lost 30 or points or whatever it is, or you get murdered in time or whatever it is on those things, it does that's the glaring fact. But a lot of times you can come back from that depending on, how everybody else is shooting. Sometimes you just get in there with a guy who's just absolutely on fire and you're in big trouble. Like that dude's not going to make a mistake, I might have shot against a guy named Nils who has done that to me a couple times this year.
But you know what's funny is I've seen him shoot and he doesn't. If he makes a mistake, you're not going to know it. Like his mistakes are so small, but he manages mistakes very, very way above any of the other shooters, right? And even like Max and I haven't, JJ, he'll make a grimace on his face when he makes a mistake, but if Nils is just like a robot out there, dude. Like when he's shooting, he can't. You're not gonna see his mistakes.
Yeah, once you get to know Nils better, trust me, he has that face. Oh,
he does. He has the grimace.
I know that face. I've shot with him enough. I've seen that face. He has the same face we all have. I promise. He's just very tall, so you can't see up that high. Maybe is what it is.
Oh yeah. I'm like knee level to Nils.
No, he definitely has that face. I saw that face at Area 4. I've seen that face. It's just, he's just not verbal about it. So he's just, I'm probably I'll be a little more verbal than him, but then, guys like Max probably aren't very verbal. JJ probably isn't very, well, a lot of those guys are verbal. They kind of know who's around when they're verbal, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they definitely have a different side outside of the public eye.
You're definitely going to know. You're definitely going to know when I make a mistake because I'm going to slam my mag against my mag well or chuck my mag in the air.
Funny. So anybody who doesn't know, Sam came into a corner on a popper, a big, juicy, giant popper, and he shoots paper coming in and he turns the corner and he was a little late on his entry. So he didn't aim early. So he just slung the gun over there and he pulls the trigger and he starts to put the gun away, pull it back and realizes he misses, puts the gun out, bang. And you see him take his mag out and he just slaps it against his mag pouch in frustration and then puts his gun away. But he ran it to slide lock. Luckily he had that extra round, but it was, all those little things.
That stage was tough for production.
Yeah.
There was just no way to get around it just being tough. And the not putting bullets in the gun, making it a priority, really ate me alive on that one. So
I think you shot it really well. You shot that stage really well. There was just some of the minor mistakes or what turned into massive mistakes, right? So the problem with production in general is when you make a minor mistake, it turns into a massive mistake because of the round count and time. If you don't get bullets in the gun, you lose a massive amount of time. And I'm telling you, Sam, don't feel bad, dude. Every video of every student I have is me telling them about get bullets in the gun. The movement is what the problem is in our sport. It becomes priority over bullets. I don't care how fast you run. If you don't have bullets in the gun, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And what most people haven't discovered yet, which I think it's going to start becoming a big thing when my system takes off a little more, is that if you focus on that reload right away, now you get to run full speed. If you have to reload while you're running, your reload or your running is going to slow down. Most of the time, they both slow down. So now you're slow reload and a slow run, and you're losing out on your time. So, or losing a lot of points. And that's changed in a lot of my classes. I've really focused on explaining or teaching people that time is points. Most people look at time as like, oh, I just lost some time. It's the one thing in our scoring that doesn't show up on paper. You can look at your time and go, oh man, cool. I was 14 seconds. The other guy was 13 seconds. But if you go and look at your videos, you can be like, well, I should have been 12 seconds because of this position, this position, this position, this position. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, I just lost all these points because I didn't think about a movement or efficiency in time. Because time is points. It's part of our scoring. And it just kind of gets blown over a lot, unfortunately, in our sport, because it's not a number that you can see a point system with. Like oh shit, I shot a delta, I only got 1 point there. Like, that because you can look at it on practice score. But when you're not looking at transition time lost, exits lost, entries, not shooting as you enter, all those things are all time lost and points lost. And you don't see that on that piece of paper, period. So even when you go to practice score app and change your shit around, it still doesn't like sink in like, oh, that's where I lost my time. Cause you're looking at, how's that guy getting me by 3 seconds? That's the first thing people say to me. How are you beating me by 3 to 5 seconds? I go, because transitions, I grip my gun really hard. I react to the trigger really fast. I exit as soon as I see as my second shot goes off. I reload faster. It's like, oh, well, I do all that. No, you don't. You're like, no, you don't. Like, you think you're doing it, but you're not as detailed as I am about it. Right. That's the difference.
Right. Interesting.
So, I want to get back to about your dry fire, because this is something that I think is very important to get into. So number one thing about your dry fire, dude, and I think this is something that is probably lost on you a little bit and you're not really thinking about it. One of the reasons why you've gotten so much better at the shooting part, okay, is because what does dry fire make you do? Makes you go back to your fundamentals.
Yes.
And it used to be that every video, every stage, I was yelling at you about your damn grip. Not one time did I watch you shoot this weekend and yell at you about your grip, because I didn't see it. So it only snuck in here and there, versus before I'd be like, grab, you're good. Like, the whole stage is just sloppy fundamentals. So I think that's something that, from your dry fire sessions, I want you to start thinking of that. Now it's a fundamental thing. It's no longer just getting reps. Like, oh, this is all fun. I'm literally locking my fundamentals in. That's where all my fundamentals came in when I first started. Was I dry fired the shit out of everything, like PCC, I rarely dry fire anymore because I'm on the range so much. But when I go to my range sessions, I still focus on fundamentals. Like, I don't change it up. Christina's coming in. I don't change my practice. Hey, Christina, hold on. I don't change my fundamentals or my practice just because I'm at the range. I focus on those fundamentals, but I just have bullets in my gun. So I think that's been a big change in your shooting for sure.
100%. I think I said this before, but I use my locals to I try to video every run, but I use that video. Say I'll shoot on a Saturday. On Sunday, I'll break down my week of dry fire. Like, I'll try to set up certain entries and certain target arrays and like some exits on what in the dry fire. So it's like, it's disciplined dry fire. I'm not just going through pulling draws, hitting reloads. I mean, that, to me, pulling draws and hitting reloads is the fundamental part of the gun work, but actual disciplined dry fire for effect is what I'm going after with that dry fire program. And, it's really hard to be critical of yourself in video. It's really hard. Right. But luckily, I have a friend who's also a coach who I am happy to pay him money to break down my videos, because it makes my life a lot easier, because I'm not guessing at the wrong thing and telling myself I'm doing the wrong thing, which Most of the time I am, right? All of the things that I did in Area 8, I've seen it before in my own videos because I've known you for so long. I could pick out through your system what I'm doing wrong. But I don't, other than doing it in repetition, I don't know how to untrain that. And a lot of it has to come to do with, military backgrounds and breaking a crap ton of bad habits that we had to fix when we first started together.
I think you just nailed it, man. What you just said about the actual scheduled, not just scheduled, but you have a plan now. When we first met, you didn't have a plan. You never, like, when you would just go, okay, I'm dry firing. Cool. Like, you dry fire your draw, dry fire trigger prep, you dry fire this, but it was never really a setup of, how do I put this into use in the stages or where I'm actually shooting? Cool. I can do 1,000 draws all day long, but how do I use that in a stage? How do I put myself in my mindset in a 25-yard draw or a 15-yard draw or a 10-yard draw, and then go, okay, now I have to, not only do I need to draw fast, but I got to exit out of this draw. I have to understand, like, what is my mindset of draw quick and then settle, boom, and leave, versus just draw and shoot around into the paper and go, yep, it was there, when you weren't even close to hitting the damn target. Right. So it's I think that's the big mindset change for you that I've seen so far, especially since the class, is like, you have a direction now instead of just, cool, I'm dry firing, Tom, I got the gun in my hand, or it's like,
yeah, look at me.
Yeah, 100%. So,
but what was I going to say? All right, let's go on. I'll think about it later.
I'll bring Christina, and I'm sure we'll talk about dry fire because she's been doing some of it hopefully too. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
Good. You look nice. Welcome to the podcast again.
Thanks for having me. Better late than never, I always say.
So if any of you guys watch this podcast, she's definitely the best looking one on it. So make sure you guys, if you don't watch it, come on here and definitely check out Christina because she looks so pretty today. She looks like a lady. Woo!
Wow. Hi, lady.
Great segue. I forgot. This is the B class PCC Area 8 High Lady Champion. Woo woo.
Finally. Yes.
So again, I've been preaching about this girl all year about how she has made podium on every single match. And this is the first one she broke through and won B class, not just podium this time, but actually won the match, baby. Let's go.
I did win New Hampshire State also.
Second match. Sorry.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
That's okay.
One.
But this one was a big deal. I had Area 8 had been my very worst match of the year, 2 years in a row. It's my first major shoot in PCC, and I was completely unprepared. It was Keanu was the match director, and there were tons of left leans, which I had practiced zero of, and it was a disaster. I was shooting I was not shooting a Da Vinci, and I was shooting flathead bullets and had a million malfunctions. It was bad. I even ate it, or I didn't eat it. There was a low port, and instead of squatting, I just went down, like just on my knees and scraped them up. There's still Area 8 dirt in my knees, like today. I'm talking, I have it from 2 years ago. Like, I'm literally scarred from Area 8. And I was actually talking to Ron Brown about this at my local match, and he goes, "This is your first year shooting Area 8." He's like, "I don't want you to tell anybody else about this stuff anymore." He goes, "This is your first year shooting Area 8. Like, you got to change your mindset. It's done. Like, that's in the history. Like, last year was extremely rough too." And I did that mostly. I mentioned it a little, but I really did like try and say, yep, it's my first time here this year. Sure.
Well, I will tell you from last year, I watched you shoot it last year. I don't think we weren't training at that time, right? We didn't train last year at all.
No, we just did shot together one or two times.
Right.
And
yep.
Yeah.
So
teammates and stuff,
I would say that you're a lot different shooter right now. So I think that area 8 was a lot easier for you because of that.
Oh yeah.
So
So much, even like balance beams and stuff, everything.
Yeah, I think this year was I can't remember. I know a lot of people complained last year about area 8 and the hardcover that they put up. And I do know there was an excessive amount of hardcover last year compared to this year, but I felt like these stages were really, really good compared to last year as well. Like, I don't feel like they had a drop off at all just because they took some of the I feel like this year was more of a straight up shooting match. Less of like, I don't want to say it was hokey last year, but they had like the big pendulum stage and the beam was left to right. It was just kind of like they had a lot of hidden stuff. Like, it was more of a memory stage on the beam last year versus this year. It was more of a straight up, like, and stage.
The beam had like really mean, like
swingers.
Partial. Yeah. Very mean swingers, like that, like anybody missed on. I mean, the best of the best got mics on those things.
That doesn't bother me.
They still had some mean ones this year, but it was just a lot of it last year. Yeah. Like a lot balance beam plus the swinger plus the okay, can we focus on like one thing at a time? Like, you don't have to make us do somersaults and cartwheels on a stage. Like,
I thought last year's swingers or beam stage was good. It was definitely a lot different style for sure than compared to this year. Last year it was definitely more positional. This year it was positional if you chose to, or you could stay on the beam the whole time. I think last year they didn't really give you many options to stay on that beam. Like, you were coming off that beam last year for sure. And this year you could come off and on or stay on it. And that, I thought that was nice because I do like the option of staying on the beam, and you get that. I guess you get is it faster to stay on or is it faster to get off opportunity? Last year's, your ass was getting off of it because it took a long time to land where you needed to hit that spot. So I got off last year. I got off this year as well. I just feel like it's usually faster to get off the beam. It just depends on obviously the stage, but I had a question about the balance beam stage. So I have quite a few questions that I'll get into since we just started with that. We'll start with the balance beam, I guess, since I have a question about it. The balance beam stage. The reason I step off the balance beam stage was because I can run faster than I can tippy toe, right? So if I get off, the time that it takes me to get down off of the beam to get back on, I would say is probably close to half a second, right? But if I shift my feet on it, it's going to take me over a second to get to that spot. And I can't run full speed. I cannot run hard. I'm not going to be balanced, and I'm going to take the risk of falling off anyway. So when you jump off of a beam like that, it's so that you don't fall off. You don't take the risk of falling off. So instead, I schedule or plan a fall off, if that makes sense. I chose to get off of it so I could run as hard as I can. And then that allows me to hit a very specific, perfect spot on the beam because I don't look at the target when I'm entering on those positions. When I'm on a beam, I look at exactly where I'm going to place my foot. Then after I get on that beam, this is something I changed this year. After I get on the beam and I'm up and I feel pretty balanced is when I focus on the target. And the reason why is because every single great shooter on our squad fell off the beam like a circus this year. I mean, it was bad. Everybody was tippy toe. I don't think a single person stayed on the beam for more than 4 shots at the most because they were constantly off balance. I have learned the beams for me it's more important for me to have a stable entry than it is for me to shoot fast. Yes. And I'll explain why. The stage on that stage, I actually won that stage and I was slower, and I'll explain why. I went 30-2 on that stage. The closest, and I was 15:57. The closest person to me was 26-6 with a 14.99. I had a 10.0 hit factor. He had a 9.8 hit factor. So again, I was able to get my hits. I was a little bit slower, and I didn't slow down. I did not slow down at all. But I was a little bit slower because I wanted to be more controlled in that situation. I didn't care if I won the stage or if I was the fastest guy this is something that's changed for me this year. I cared about being consistent and not falling and being balanced. And I think I was one of the middle shooters. So I'd already seen like 4 or 5 people fall off the damn thing. So right away, I was focused on my balance. I have learned that my balance is actually where most of my inaccuracies are coming from. So 30-2, because amazing, I was balanced on that beam. That's why I got off that beam. And I feel like 99% of the time, it's better to get off the beam and then get back on. Most people who try to run or walk on a beam, they're going to be slower because you're eventually going to catch the edge of that beam and fall. You can't focus on shooting and aiming when your feet are, really skinny. Your body's not balanced like that. Some people are pretty good at it, but you end up slowing down most of the time. That was my rant about the beam. I hope that answered your question.
Well, it was critical. And then it's super important when you're getting on and off or just the beam. A crucial piece of that is looking down at the spot. That's where, if you watch my video, that was the whole start. I'm looking at the beam.
Yep.
I'm not looking at the target. I'm looking where I'm
Yep.
going to step. And I did that in every part and it worked out, except I left too early and I got a mic. But watching the homies on our squad, because here's the thing about this stage that was really cool is it was a hoser stage. All these targets were super close. So it really tempted you to just run down the beam or just say, okay, I'm just going to go as fast as I freaking can with the moving and the shooting and all of it. And it's like, there's this little obstacle here that's going to slow you down. And it was like, it was Leaguer and Edens that freaking, oh my gosh, they went insane on that stage. It was very entertaining.
It was very fun. I hope they post those. I really hope they post them.
That was crazy. I wish I videoed them. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you're going insane on this stage.
It was very, very, very entertaining. And I don't think that they feel the same, but it was for us. So please share it because we had a good laugh. That's for sure. Dude, and every single person did it. Like every single person. I think John Browning was the only one of all the other guys that actually had a good run. Like balance wise, but that's because he was hurt. It slowed him down a little bit. He had to stay under control. Oh man, he took a nasty fall. If anybody doesn't know, he took a nasty fall on a stage where and on this range had nothing but rocks, and man, he got it like. He basically got a boulder in his knee. It was bad. Like he was bleeding all over the place. It was gushing pretty much the entire day. But it was bad.
Like
it was really bad.
Stage. It was like a third or fourth stage.
Yeah, on a retreat too. On that barrel stage. Yeah, it was all a big retreat on that stage too. So
probably fourth stage.
Yeah, I think it was. It was 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think it was 1, 2, 3. Yes, it was our. Yeah, it was our third stage. Our third stage for sure. It was 5, 6, 7. So I think it was 8. Stage 8. So, but yeah. So I mean, what did you guys think overall of Area 8? Because you guys have, you've shot Area 6, Sam. Christina, you shot Area 6. What other area matches have you shot this year, Christina?
Actually, I did not shoot Area 6 because it was on Mother's Day weekend.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
With my mother, like a good child.
Yep.
But that was like anti-woman, that Area 6 match. No, just kidding. I shot it.
In case you guys didn't know, we just joined a feminist, just joined our group.
Like, I mean, come on, you guys are away from your families how much? And it's like, oh, I know, let's have a match on Mother's Day weekend when it's a male-dominated sport. It's like, who's getting divorced this weekend? Like, it's like, like asking for it. like that was crazy.
Holy shit, that's hilarious.
But anyways, I shot Area 1 and Area 8 this year. That's it.
That's right. Okay, so it was Area 1. I'm sorry. So Sam and I shot Area 6 and we shot Area 1 together. Okay. So how do you compare this? I mean, obviously there were different styles of matches. Area 8 was definitely Area 6 was a staff reset. Area 1 was not. So how do you feel the difference in this match now that you both shot two different styles of matches actually? Sam, go ahead.
I think staff reset's overrated. Just let me save the money on the match fee and I'll go pace. It's fine. Um, I think I don't know. I feel more energized, but I also feel tired from having to go out there and, walk around and pace and all that stuff. But like it, when it's something about like, I think it's, speaking on the feminist terms and the communist terms that, my other counterpart speaks, when you work hard together, you build morale. Like, I think the Germans said it best, like, labor makes you free. So,
Yeah,
Nice.
I had I think most people know how I feel about staff reset. I think you are going to run out most people that can afford this sport by doing it. Everything's already doubled in our sport quite a bit. Match fees are going up. Travel has gone up. Everything's gone up. And then you start hammering us down with match fees just so that people don't have to work. It's unfortunate, but I don't know if there's a proper answer other than.
At least we didn't have to buy a jersey for this match in our match fee.
No comment.
You should comment, man.
No comment, dude. No comment.
We already heard it.
Yeah,
we're gonna get you.
That's true. I already talked about
jersey.
it. I already talked about it a long time ago. So, all right, Christina, what'd you think?
No collars.
Yeah. What'd you think, Christina?
Well, Area 1, we had the 2-day option, which I always like. I always like having a 2-day option to shoot the match. I'm there to like do the thing. So, and I'm going to be there the whole weekend either way, but it was nice to shoot on a Sunday. Gave me like an extra day of get together. Like, yeah.
It certainly wasn't prepping for the match. That's
my Friday night would have definitely looked a lot different if I was shooting PM on Saturday. I can tell you that.
All I can tell you guys, if you B class shooters are in big trouble if I can get this girl to be more dedicated to the day before the match. You guys will be in some serious trouble.
You mean like 2 days?
How about
before?
2 days before? How about 3 days before? How about a week before? And you get some freaking rest.
Watch out at nationals.
Well, we'll see. Until you prove it to me, I don't believe it.
I took the week off work, and I'm going to be hanging out with you in the beginning. So
we'll see. I'm excited. I hope so. I promise you, I'm going to be yelling at you if you're not taking it serious, because you take the shooting serious, but you don't take the prep serious. So,
well, yeah,
I think this happens a lot. I think this isn't just on you, Christina. This is a topic that I've been kind of wanting to get into. I see this a lot. Logan, 357 souls on Instagram. Saunders, right? Logan Saunders said something to me. He's like, dude, I've never seen people walk stages 2 days in a row. And I said, well, why not? Like, why wouldn't I? I was like, I spend thousands of dollars to come here. Why would I not take every opportunity that I have to walk these stages twice, more than once? Why would I just come here and go, cool, I got it? When, how many times have you gone to a stage and you go, man, I didn't see that? Well, you didn't see it because you didn't give full effort. You didn't put the same effort you would into the shooting as you did into the walking the stages. So I'm a little different in that aspect. One of the reasons I come a day early also, maybe a little bit earlier than most other grandmasters, is the travel really beats me to hell. Like, the flying really beats me up. I'm sitting in a plane for hours, and this flight wasn't terrible, but I had a layover. So if I'm sitting in a chair at 90 degrees angle, my hips lock up. Like, I don't do really well with sitting down. Right. So my body wasn't built for that. My body was to stand up and move around and do my thing. So I take a beating on travel. So I will leave and come the night before we walk stages. Yeah, it cost me a little extra in a hotel, but at the end of the day, I get an extra day of rest to where the next day when I walk stages, I feel good. Like, I feel like I'm ready to shoot that day. Then I get a good meal, try to get as much rest as I can, go to sleep. I'm ready to shoot the very next day. Like, I actually slept before this match. That was another question. Did I get sleep before this match? I did. I got about 6.5 hours of sleep, which is a lot for me.
I did too.
It was crazy because I came into this match freaking jacked up. Like my legs were shaking. I had this massive nervous energy. I know some of it is because I am actually prepared for this year. Like I came into this year telling myself I was not going to shoot a gun that I wasn't prepared for. One of the reasons why I shot carry optics at Area 1, even though I'm preparing for nationals for PCC, is because I hadn't shot the rifle at all. I hadn't practiced at all. I'm not doing that to myself anymore. I'm not going to shoot a division or shoot a nationals or shoot a match because if I'm not prepared. Yeah. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It has nothing to do with me worrying about being embarrassed. Obviously, I don't give a shit. I care more about how I feel about myself.
Oh, yeah. You'll feel
after
bad.
I don't pull my full effort into it. And I can't stand when I slack off on those aspects. So if I would not want to go to Iron Sights Nationals if it was the weekend after PCC. I would want to go to something with a red dot, or, I mean, I guess I have that opportunity now, but I would not have wanted to switch to production. I've done this before and it's not gone very well. And it's always just made me mad about my shooting. It's made me not want to shoot those matches, even though it had nothing to do with the match. It had to do with my preparation.
Oh, I've done this too.
So again, it's not worth it. Yes, it's not.
Yeah,
it's just not. It's not worth the amount of money that I spend to go in there and be unprepared. So this year I came into Area 8 with full week's worth of practice, maybe week and a half's worth of practice. I shot 3 or 4 days, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the way I practice, that's a lot. And I came in there and I was ready. I mean, I was really ready. So I literally had to run. Like, I think I was 3 shooters away. I had to run away from the stage and to run up this hill and run back. And yeah, I felt like, man, I'm feeling tired now. It took that nervous energy away. So when I got up to the stage and it was my turn, I was really focused. Like, I was really focused. I don't think I've ever been that focused on my first stage ever before, but I don't think I've ever been that jacked up before stage either. I was like, it was crazy. I was ready. I was ready to run out of the range. I was just so jacked up. So
Homie, you handed me your phone and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like you were
really?
like a little bit. Oh,
was it that bad?
Was shaking.
Oh
yes.
shit.
Yes, it was.
I'm telling you, I was ready.
I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, he might just be insane on this thing. I don't know. But
and then so I went up. I was so calm, and I actually won that. I just looked at that yesterday. I won that stage high overall for the entire match. I beat everybody, all open guys, everybody. I was like, holy crap! Like, I'll never forget when I'm shooting that stage. I shot the left side, and I remember just reacting to my dot on all the stills, like bing, 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 paper, pop, 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 because it was 3 shots for a paper. And I run to the right, and I'm like, oh, the swinger's not moving. I got over there so fast that the swinger hadn't even started yet. And then as soon as I got into position to shoot, the swinger opened up and was just like, I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy. I'm not waiting on this thing. And I just shot the rest of the stage, and I was like, did I forget something? That was way too easy. Like, that seems so calm. It was so calm, and it just carried on through the whole match. I just think that my mental game has really changed this year because I've focused on it for almost 2 years now. I've focused on mental for 2 years. I haven't been thinking about my shooting at all. I've been focused 1,000,000% on my mental game right now. I'm trying to catch up to these guys that have been doing this shit for 20 years. It's very difficult to get 20 years in 5.
Speaking of our first stage and how much mental you needed for that, and we shot with a squad of very talented shooters, and it is amazing how many of them, and many of them have been shooting for a lot longer than you, Tom. And I messed it up too, which is so disappointing, but so many of us messed up that 3 first stage. There were 2 shooters, experienced shooters, like champion shooters, that got FTSAs on that stage. It's crazy. I'm like, did everybody go out drinking last night? Like, what is going on? Like, I did a 2 per but it was the swinger that distracted me, and then I went. I thought in my walkthrough, I was forgetting when I came in on the left side in the third position because I started shooting steel, and that made you forget the 3 per. But no, once I went up to the swinger, and I remembered 3 per on the swinger, but then I went and shot an open target and went pop up, and I got a mic because I literally didn't pull the trigger. So that was a very challenging stage. That was a hard stage to be first, I think, because you're just kind of getting going. First stage, blah, whatever. It still is a thing.
What do you say to yourself on that type of a stage? I'm interested. What do you say when you're standing or before you walk up to that stage? Do you say anything to yourself?
Shoot 3. I say shoot 3, shoot 3, shoot 3, shoot 3, shoot 3, shoot 3 as I walk up to that stage. But I probably should be visualizing shooting 3.
So why don't you say it, make it simple. Right now, shoot 3 is too much words. I know people are going to think I'm crazy. 3. Simplify it. Your brain can think 3 all day long versus shoot 3 versus 3.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do that.
So the first thing I did when I walked up there, I didn't think about 3 at all at first. Like obviously that whole stage was 3. That's all I think about is 3. The first thing I thought of is you hit this damn load. You hit this reload. You hit this unloaded start. 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 And I said to myself, load first, movement second. And as soon as I soon as I felt the magazine go in, I was like, okay, 3. I literally said 3 every single time to every single target. 3. And then I got to steel and I went 1, sights, trigger, run, 3. I literally told myself on every freaking target, 3. And I just followed rules 1 and 2, sights, trigger. If I pulled the trigger and I had my sights, I was like, I don't even give a shit. Like
you're really thinking that
all the time. Listen, I think when I'm shooting, the problem is everybody just goes into overdrive and just goes, okay, cool. I'm going to just follow this stage plan. But what if I drew my gun and I landed on a no shoot? Am I going to pull the trigger? Everybody does that because I'll give you a good example. When I used to shoot production, I used to shoot subconsciously because that's what I was taught. Everybody told me subconsciously shoot, subconscious. You can only think of one thing at a time. So just shoot subconsciously. Here's the problem. Every time I would move, I would reload, even if I didn't need to. So now I'm subconsciously shooting crappy because I'm throwing things in there just because I'm trained to move and reload when I don't need to. Make sense? That's when I learned, oh, wait a minute. This sport is not subconscious. The stage planning subconscious. I don't think, oh man, I got to run over here. I just know that part because it's in the back of my mind. And it's something that I've practiced during the breakdown, right? During my breakdown is where I get all the details that everybody thinks should be subconscious. Listen, I even focus on when I run into a position, I focus on what my body's doing. Like I'm like, all right, stay down, boom. And the sights are something I just respond to. Does that make sense? I don't think about my sights. I just respond to my sights. Why? Because I'm looking where I'm shooting anyway. So the sights are going to land wherever I look because I practiced doing that. Does that make sense? Like everybody makes this difficult. This sport's very, very simple. Very simple. We have all these terms and all these crazy things that we bring into our head to change to that. It's like, man, this sport is so simple. It's when you add a timer that everybody screws it up, right? But if I was to tell you to stand and shoot targets, do you think about shooting and transitioning and doing all those things? So why don't you think when you're moving and doing it during a stage? Wouldn't you do it during practice? Or do you just blindly shoot things? That makes sense?
Maybe I'm blindly shooting things.
Okay, so I mean, listen, this is a huge breakthrough then. This could be a huge breakthrough for you before nationals. You're coming to see me.
Well,
you and Craig are coming to train in the next couple of days. Should be a giant breakthrough for you. You should be shooting this.
Well, you know what I'm thinking.
With your mind on shooting.
Well, you know what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking sights trigger. I'm thinking gun in.
So here's the thing. That
I can't
is
think
something that,
everything.
but that is something that you should not be thinking of, because it should become second nature. That's one of those subconscious things that you should be doing, like gripping the gun and all these type of things, but you haven't made it subconscious yet. Does that make sense? That just takes time. But that's what separates you from B class to GM right now. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not kidding. It's the smallest things that what separates grandmasters from most other shooters is we don't think about fundamentals.
Accuracy.
Well, no, we don't think about fundamentals like everybody else does. Most of our fundamentals go into overdrive. We don't really have to go, squeeze with your left hand, squeeze. We just do it. Right. We just do it. Yeah. And it's, so, and again, for me, when I'm shooting pistol, I think way more about my grip than I do anything else, because it's a completely different, it's a different gun. Does that make sense? The grip means a lot more to me because of the way I'm shooting, like how fast I want it to shoot. With the rifle, I pull that son of a bitch in like I'm trying to tow a truck, right? So I'm pulling that gun in so hard, and I know by the way the gun shoots. Like, if I can't rip those splits like I want to, I'm not doing my fundamentals, right? If my accuracy starts to shoot Alpha Charlies, then I know it's because my fundamentals are falling off. So then I'll have to go and think about fundamentals in a stage, right? I can tell you when I'm not doing it just by my hits alone. Same thing with pistol. I can tell when my fundamentals fell off, and it's something, then I'll go, okay, now I need to put my brain on the fundamentals, because all the other stuff doesn't matter if I can't shoot straight, right? So that hopefully that's a big breakthrough for you this weekend. Maybe we'll be putting that in there for you a little bit, so you can start paying attention to that while we're at practice this weekend. So, or next week, Monday and Tuesday before Nats, because that's something that it's not very difficult. It's not very difficult to change that at all. It's just, where do I shift my mind? Like, where do I shift my mind?
But that second, it's not completely second nature to hold the gun in too. So.
Well, I can tell you it better be, because if you want, especially for this next match, they're going to challenge you probably with some distance, because everybody has a red dot. So you better we got to get it locked in before you leave. So, okay. Are you dry firing at all right now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep. Every day.
So it might not be a bad idea to stop transitioning your gun, stop worrying about transitions, and just focus on pulling the gun in, like draw and hold it. Draw and hold it, or just hold the gun and just focus on. Oh,
yeah. I used to do that. I saw Lanny Oakley. She said that she would just stand and hold the rifle in for a minute at a time, 1 to 2 minutes at a time. I used to do that, and then I stopped. I don't know if I just forgot or whatever, or took time off or something. But maybe I'll do that, just to be like, okay, just feel that pressure, and you just sit there and hold it. Just do that every day.
It's going to it'll make a big difference and become second nature, because once that gun's in your hand, you just do it. You just follow through with it. It's no different than a pistol. Like, all right, I'm going to squeeze the shit out with my left hand and my right hand. I'm going to do this. I'm a trigger prep. Like, for me, I don't even think twice about trigger prep. I don't think twice about squeezing the gun, right? Because I'll go to the safe table before the stage starts, and then I go, okay, cool. Like, how much did you go to the safe table this weekend for area 8?
None. I never went once.
I know.
I didn't even see him.
You know how I know you didn't go to the safe table? Because you weren't with me when I was over there.
Right.
Do you know that stage, that big, long U-shaped stage that was 100 yards away, that had not a single safe table? Did you see me disappear?
You were gone.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I walked away. Why? Because we had a weird start position, and I hadn't practiced that. So I went over to the sight-in bay, and I didn't shoot a single bullet. But I started working on, where am I going to put this thing? And then because I went to safe tables on all the other stages, I think there was only one stage that I didn't go to the safe table on. I'm trying to think, what stage was that? I think I went to the safe table on every single stage. I really do. I think I went out of my way to go to the safe table.
Too.
What's that?
I mean, I usually do a little bit, but I never went. I don't know if I ever went once, which is
and I'm
very
shooting
weird.
a rifle. So what's the fundamentals for a rifle? I don't have to squeeze it hard. I don't have to like worry about my fundamental grip. Yes, you do. I have a specific type of fundamental that I use with that gun. I push my shoulder in, I pull the gun back. I mean, listen, I went to the safe table when we had that hard lean, that hard fallout thing that I was going to do where I stepped my foot up. I went to the safe table and practiced that shit. Like people are like, what's this guy doing? Like I was in the safe table area, obviously, but I'm over there lifting my foot up, just trying to work on my balance. See, so I don't tip left when I do it. I want to make sure I'm shooting the gun when I lift my foot up. So I'm perfectly balanced. Cause if I wait, I'm going to fall out of bounds and get shitty hits. So then it wouldn't be worth it anyway.
I wish I was taking notes. I wish I was taking notes right now. I guess I'll be able to watch this.
Because that one was pretty ugly, by the way. That was an interesting one-legged yoga thing that you did. But you did good hits on that. It was just the exit that cost you a ton of time. That's the thing. Is
I mean, it could have been worse.
Yes. Well, of course, people DQ'd on that stage from that shit. It was just one of those things where it's like, that safe table is key. It's a free practice. I don't know why people, I mean, I look around at matches all the time and 99% of the shooters in our sport never use the opportunity to get a free practice in, get free draws in, go test their fundamentals, their grip. Jesus, go practice your reloads if you're shooting, whatever it is. I don't understand why people don't use it.
This match, I definitely, when I loaded my gun, every time I loaded it from my front pouch because there were so many unloaded starts. Every time I loaded my gun at the make ready, I loaded from the front, and then I put my spare mag in the front when I was done because I was like, I'm going to practice this every time I step up to the plate because there was so many of them.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing is those little things, they should be practiced before you get there. But then what you're doing when you go to the match is you're just reconfirming the fundamentals of what you're doing. That way you don't even have to think twice. You just know, grab it, because you already went to the dry fire and did 50 rounds or practice rounds of it or whatever it is. It's one of the biggest losses I see in our sport is in opportunities to practice or to get better or to really make sure you're going to crush that stage. You can literally go to the dry fire table and run the entire stage. You can shoot the entire stage pointing at the wall, reload, reload. And you can walk through that stage and you can literally tell yourself, reload. And you can practice those fast reloads and the exits and all these different things within that little 4 to 8 foot, area that they give you to practice. I don't know why people don't do it. It is a huge thing in my game, and I use it on every single stage. I will go out of my way to find one. We had to at this match. There was quite a few areas that weren't close. I'm not kidding. Guys, this one was probably 100 yards away. I carried my big ass heavy bag 100 yards to go practice before it was my turn. I was like 4 shooters. Well, actually, no. Before we even walked on the stage and did the 4 minutes, I walked away and I did that before we even got to the stage, before they did the breakdown. Because I knew, okay, this start position's kind of odd. I need to make sure this is good. Where am I going to hold my gun? How am I going to hold it? How am I going to point it? I ended up winning that stage high overall, like in the entire match. That high overall in that entire match. I crushed that stage because I was prepared for that stage. There was all kinds of movement, weird positions. It was just, you had to hit the perfect spot. It was a very interesting stage. So I wanted to be prepared for it because of all the different movement in and outs on that. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Next Level Podcast. This is the end of part 1. Tune in next week to listen to part 2.